Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Modern Sales Mastery Show. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the comments section below. As you know, this is a weekly show where we have different experts give their wisdom on different sales related topics or even workshops with the latest digital selling tools. And we even have some very insightful webinars. So make sure you stay with us and follow us. Now, it's time to start inviting all your connections because we are live right now with an interview. Without further ado, let's get started. I am the man behind the scenes. My name is Felipe Gonzalez, and I am the social media coordinator here at Vengreso. I'm also the event host, but I will introduce the show host for today. She is a certified LinkedIn expert and the chief visibility officer here at Vengreso. Please help me welcome Viveka von Rosen. Viveka, take it away.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Felipe. Yes, let us know in comments here, or here. Where are you calling in from? Say hello to me in your native language. We get people from all over the world coming into our live shows. So thank you so much for being here. Great to see you. I am excited today because our special guest is the one and only Joanne Black. I actually met Joanne through a group called Women Sales Pros, hosted by or created by Lori Richardson, and which we need to have her on our show too. And I love Joanne right away. I know one of the reasons I got into LinkedIn is because I hated cold calling, and she's a book. Right? No more cold calling, no more cold calls. So that was why I got interested in, not the only reason I was interested in Joanne, but that made me feel like right away some kinship. But over the years, and actually for the past 25 years, Joanne has been a leading sales leader, talking about referrals and no more cold calling. But what's really interesting and what I wanted to talk to, I actually saw Joanne post something and I was like, ooh, that would be an excellent thing to talk about, which is DEI in sales, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion in sales. So we are going to talk about all of those things without going on and on and on anymore. Come on in, Joanne. It is great to have you here today.
Oh, Viveka, I didn't realize we'd known each other that long.
Not 25 years, but I mean, that's how long you've been at it.
We never get tired of each other because there's always something new and interesting, right?
There really is. So let's talk about that. Like, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the changes for sales and sales leaders from even last year, from 2021?
I'm going to review some research from Gartner, and they're looking at trends and issues. So the trends are digital buying, right? So that's how buyers are going to prefer to interact.
Yeah.
Virtual selling, that's old news now, right?
Right.
And emerging technologies. So what are the technologies that will enable us to be more productive and do better at sales?
Yeah.
But the issue, and I want to quote, is the sales leaders say their challenge is getting a strong pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And also sellers say, how do I get access to my buyers through virtual selling?
Right.
So one of the things, Viveka, that when I thought about this, and I can be a little snarky. This virtual selling, all right? This is not new.
No.
We're in year 3, right?
Yeah.
Because we started in, the latter half of 2020.
Yep.
All of 2021, and now 2022. So I'm asking myself, why is this still an issue?
Right.
It's something that we had to address a long time ago, and maybe will give some slack to the last 6 months of 2020 because sales leaders at that time were so focused on, oh my gosh, I have to manage a virtual team and the money and the revenue's down and what are my clients doing and they're not returning calls and all these things that were happening, right, that had never happened before.
Right.
And so we'll excuse that. But then
they get a pass at least for those few months.
Yeah. Then we have all of 2021.
Yeah.
And now almost 2 months of 2022. So I don't know why this is such a big issue that it hasn't been addressed.
Yeah.
And so part of the research that Gartner did as well was what are sales execs doing to counteract this issue with virtual selling?
Yeah.
Because salespeople say only 20% believe they're as effective selling virtually as in person. Only
Really?
20%. Okay, how as a sales leader am I going to let that go?
Yeah.
So if you're on the line, if you're watching, if you're listening, sales leader, it is time to give your people the skills to sell virtually.
Yeah.
And there's many resources for that. So Viveka mentioned Women Sales Pros, and we have one of our members, right, who I have learned so much from this. Julie Hansen, I don't know if you can see this, wrote this book. Oops,
look me in the eye. Yep,
but
absolutely.
look me in the eye already. Using video to build relationships with customers, partners, and teams.
Yeah.
And and now we have an overlay again, because as people are starting to go back physically, there are some that are going to stay virtually.
Yep.
So how do we talk to the people who are there and also engage the people who are virtual?
Exactly.
The issue is becoming more complex, right? So we need to me, if I'm a sales exec, I have to address that because 20% just doesn't cut it for me.
Now, I hadn't heard that is, and so Felipe, I hope you're taking notes because we need to work this into our training or at least into our sales calls because, of course, we're a virtual selling company and we teach people how to use LinkedIn, social video, Sales Navigator, etc., how to virtually sell. And I'd heard all the other numbers, and the fact too that especially B2B buyers are not wanting to go to the old way, back to the old way. The buyers are going, this is cool. I don't have to be traveling. I don't have to be, at the office. I don't have to be at trade shows. I don't have to be at conferences. I'm kind of good with buying virtually. And so, even if as we open up, a lot of the virtual buying is going to, or a lot of the buying is going to continue to be virtual. So the selling needs to be virtual as well, but that blows my mind. Did I hear you right? Only 20% of virtual sellers feel that they're effective selling virtually?
Yes, that's the Gartner research. If any of you want to access this, go to Gartner.com. Their research papers are free. It's the Chief Sales Officer Vision for 2022. They do this every year, and you'll see this data in there, right? So that's how to find it.
That's mind-blowing to me. It's why I have a job, so kind of glad. But let's talk about some of the steps then that sales leaders can take to address these challenges. The fact that their sellers don't know how to sell virtually, the fact that there's all this technology they need to use, the mind shift that needs to happen, the virtual teams, how do we connect, like all the challenges. What steps do sales leaders need to take?
Well, for virtual selling, they need to talk to you.
Excellent. I'll pay you later.
and read books. So there's books. I think Julie gives some tips and books like I had learned. So, they tell you not to talk with your hands. I heard that for years. Don't talk with your hands, right? Because that's distracting. Right. Well, if you just stand there or sit there like this, you're a statue. You're not showing your emotion. That's one of the things she says, I'm still practicing, is use your hands, but keep them in the frame.
Yes. Yeah, because doing this down here doesn't help anything.
It doesn't. So what sales execs need to do is really take a look at what is the actual problem with virtual selling.
Yeah.
So the research showed that only 20% said that they felt they were comfortable selling virtually as in person.
Yeah.
I always like to get behind that data.
Yes.
So if I'm leading a sales team, I want to talk to them and find out what's getting in the way.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Is it the technology? Is it the questions you're asking?
Yeah.
Is it taking longer to reach people? Is it taking longer to close? I mean, what are all the issues? Because virtual selling is a big topic.
It is. It is. And I expect that people are using virtual selling as an excuse, like blame the equipment, right? That's what I always do when I'm skiing. Oh yeah, it's not me. I could do moguls great. It's my skis. I think a lot of sellers are blaming the equipment, blaming Zoom, blaming video meetings, whatever, for maybe their lack of skills, virtual selling or not, right? It's like if you've kind of kept an even keel, or even, maybe it's your selling skills that are not so good. Maybe it's not just the technology. Maybe not, but it sounds like an excuse in some cases to me.
Yeah, sometimes we point our fingers, but even one of the simplest things, and it is so hard to always look at the camera, right? Even though I can see Viv if I look down here, that doesn't help when I'm talking to you.
That's true.
And it just feels so artificial.
Yeah.
But that's how everybody sees you. So that's the first thing to practice. Always look at the camera.
Right. Yep.
Right? That's how you connect. And I like your thought, Viveka, that what is behind all of this?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It's people like to point fingers. It's not me. But in this case, it is me.
Well, when you point a finger, what is it? Three are pointing back to you, right? When you're pointing a finger, 3 are pointing forward, pointing back at you. So.
Yes, that's right. And so we have to address that and really get to the nuances of it. And if we don't have the latest technology with Zoom or any other platform,
right?
Invest in it.
Exactly.
Invest in it, because that will make a difference.
And I think it's important whether. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I said invest in your people, because it is a skill.
And here's the thing, invest in our course or buy Julie's book. Julie's book is great. Look me in the eye, because she's 100% right. I mean, if you're not salespeople who aren't turning their cameras on, that blows me away. Like, I get internal meetings. Sometimes you're just having a bad hair day. Okay, I get that. But if you are having a meeting with a client or a prospect, like, turn on the camera and then look at the camera. Hello. And that, oh, my, bad hair day. I'm not wearing makeup. Oh, I don't want to get dressed today. Back in the day when we actually used to meet people face to face and do site visits and go to conferences and trade shows, we'd get dressed then. We'd do our hair then. We'd wear makeup then. Like, why did people think it's okay not to turn on the camera? I don't get it.
Well, I've heard that buyers don't turn their camera on. I've never heard, Viveka, that salespeople don't turn their camera on.
I've heard. Oh my gosh. I know it makes. Well, you're just going to have a screenshot up there. I don't know. It's a new culture. It is a new culture that we're embarking on, and that's what I want to talk about next. But I believe Felipe has a quick video that he is going to share. So we'll let him do that. And then, let's talk about culture and DEI and what is happening with sales with that as well. I'm kind of cracking up because I'm watching our, this commercial and then the one we did earlier. And I mean, I will be honest with you. The first time we rolled those commercials, it was all old white guys. And, and then we were like, okay, no, listen, our audience, salespeople, it's not all white guys, right? We've got women, we've got diversity. And that actually, so that leads me to my next point, right? How does a diverse sales team enhance a company's growth? And one would hope it does. I would just naturally hope it did, but you actually sent us some really interesting stats, and I would love for you to talk to us a little bit more about diverse sales teams and how are they actually enhancing a company's growth right now?
So again, research, this time from Forrester, in 2021 did this research, but I want to expand the DEI. So it's not just, that's my point of view. It's not just about women and men.
Right.
It's not just about roles.
Yeah.
It's not about race, not about the things that are typically associated with DEI.
Yeah.
I think it needs to include diversity of thinking.
Mm.
So, when you have people who think just like you do, isn't that great? You have wonderful conversation, but it really doesn't get us anywhere.
Grow. Yeah, exactly.
And then diversity of age. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you got me. That's diversity. I remember years ago when somebody said to me, if you have a meeting and you're stuck, like with your strategy or something like that, she said the best thing you can do is invite teenagers over and feed them. They always have to be fed, right?
Yeah, so, they always have to be fed.
Teenagers and others, because they tell the truth and they see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So diversity of age, extremely important, and diversity of thought. So that's my add to this.
I like it.
But here's a couple things the research pointed out. So it's not just a nice to have, it's a must have.
Yeah.
So companies, sales organizations with a DEI initiative have higher sales forecasts. Leading sales organization, their team's revenue expected to increase 9% between 2020 and 21.
Yeah.
But lagging just 6%.
So 3%, that's a 3% difference. And you might be, 3%, that's not so much. 3% can be huge. It can be millions of dollars.
That's right.
Right?
That's it.
And that's just the beginning. Once you bring in age diversity, gender diversity, whatever kinds of diversities we want to bring in, once we bring in the different diverse groups, I imagine the culture gets richer, it gets stronger. And the other thing is, buyers want to see themselves. Not all buyers are white guys, right? Young white guys, old white guys, whatever. We've got buyers of all ages, all race, all gender. We've got to match that. But yeah, and that's facts. That's from Forrester, right?
Yeah, the stat that really interested me, and you'll relate to this, higher conversion rates. So sales teams with leading DEI practices have an average lead to opportunity conversion rate of 54%. Non-companies have a conversion rate of just 26%. Okay, that's a 28% differential.
That's huge.
Conversion, right? Because, you can get all this stuff, by technical term, in your pipeline.
Yeah.
If it doesn't convert, it's worthless. So how, in fact, do you do that?
Absolutely right. No, I love it. Why do you think this is? What are some of your thoughts around it?
That people have started to work together differently. And I think silos they're still there. They're going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
But you've got groups that are working together.
Yeah.
And it's also the culture, the feeling that you're contributing to a company and you're worth something. And when you feel like you're contributing to a company, not just making your number, which of course is important, it's just a very different feeling.
You know, ironically, with working from home in the virtual workforce, you know, when you went into an office, yes, you've got that socialization, and you know, we miss that. Well, we don't at Vingresso because we've been a virtual company from day one, but other people miss that, and I totally understand missing your colleagues. But that's a little bit like me culture, right? You're all kind of in this little group, all in the same city, all in the same town, all in the same office. You might have very similar beliefs. When we open that up to a virtual sales team, and quite not just sales, right? A whole virtual company where you're starting to rub elbows, you're starting to engage with people from all over the world. I love that because it brings in new thinking. It brings in new ideas. I mean, that diversity, I think, is so rich. We have it with our own company culture here at Vingresso. We've got a lot of, you know, North American, South American, European, Philippines influence throughout the whole company. And I think that makes us a richer company because of it.
Well, it does. And then there's also additional diversity of people with disabilities.
Yes, yes.
And there's been research done there. It's been in our San Francisco Chronicle that we have a labor shortage.
Yeah.
And there's been research done that people with disabilities stay longer. They show up. They do great work. And if we just opened our minds to that, what a difference that would make. And then what about when you're talking about diversity, people who served in the military? I mean, you can just go on and on and on with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And asking the people there, who are we missing?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, because quite frankly, from here, you couldn't tell if I was in a wheelchair or not, right? You couldn't tell if I had use of only one arm or if I was blind, for that matter. There's so many opportunities, I think, for virtual workers that's a great point.
Yes.
We should hire more. Let us know in chat, like, where can we go hire these people? I like the loyalty piece too. There's a lot of churn, right? Great resignation. Finding more loyal workers would be awesome just about now.
It would be, and it can be. But it just doesn't happen when you snap your fingers, right?
Yeah.
This has to be a corporate initiative, you know, with some real data, with a real power behind it to make it happen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Exactly. And it has to be this kind of, I'm going to use the word enlightenment. It needs to be throughout the whole company. It's like, you know, you can be a sales manager, sales leader, and truly understand the need. But if the C-suite is still trying to do things the old way, well, first of all, they might not be around for much longer, but you need buy-in at all levels, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you know, why this conversion statistic was so intriguing to me is because sales pipeline, right? That's it's the complaint. So when you prospect through referrals, that means outbound, proactive. That's the way you're prospecting, and you're measured, and you have the skills and you have the accountability, that your pipeline is pre-qualified because you get introduced to the people you want to meet, your ideal prospects. And the conversion rate is huge.
Yeah.
It used to be average 50%. Now it's way more, 70%. Some people say 90%.
Yeah.
And that's a huge way. I mean, that's how you gain access to buyers. And that hasn't changed. And it won't change.
No. Maybe the way we go about it, and I know we have this conversation a lot, and I don't think we're actually on opposite ends here. I mean, to me, you know, everything you talk about with referrals, 100%. Now with virtual selling, maybe our referrals initiate digitally as opposed to like, on the phone or over dinner. But the act of the referral and the power of the referral, I think that's so key with all of the changes going on.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward way to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Right? Of access.
Yeah.
You get an introduction from someone your prospect knows and trusts. You get the meeting. Okay? Access. Yeah. Well, what's better than that?
Exactly. Exactly. And the more diverse your company is, the more access you have to different markets.
There's also something about virtual. Many years ago, there was this quote from someone about when a lot of companies in the Silicon Valley were saying that, half of the workforce was being virtual. And how do you have innovation in a virtual environment? Right. Because if you're in the same workplace, you have an idea, you go see somebody, you toss it around. So, and that's something to think about because we need innovation. That's the only way to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm not going to get political or anything, but it just seems like, especially in the US, I don't know if it's true across the world, we get in these camps of like-minded people. And that feels very comfortable for a while, but it doesn't work for many reasons. One of them being you start to get that diversion, not diversity, but that diversion between the two groups of like-minded people. And then you're at war at each other instead of building on each other's ideals. And I think that's where having diversity, obviously equity and inclusion are part of that. I think that's where it's so important because we're diverse, but we also need to be open to each other's cultures, ideas, etc.
I think we're living at a time when it's really tough. Mm-hmm. We've never seen a world like this.
No.
And there's a lot of hesitation. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of that about commerce.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the supply chain.
Yeah.
When are the parts going to come from the car I want to buy? And more than that. Hello? Yes.
Yeah, and, exactly.
So, and in addition to that, we've got global warming. What's going to happen to our planet? Yeah. What's going to happen to my job? Is it going to change? I mean, all of this uncertainty exists in our world today. And we all know as human beings, we're really not good with uncertainty.
Right. But uncertainty is just another word for change, and we have to have change in order to grow.
Yeah, but it's not easy.
No, it's definitely not easy. And we could spend a whole nother session on that, but we are coming up on time. It goes so quickly. Joanne, you have as much time as you want, but is there anything more that you want to share with everybody here?
I think that I'm just looking at my notes to see if there is anything. I think I do want to pose that, there's so much dependence on technology.
Yeah.
And we need technology. We need it for productivity. We need new technologies to help us. And so to be open to that.
Amen.
But what I've seen is this over dependence on technology, and we're not being human to human.
Absolutely.
And that's how sales are made. Well, maybe not, widget sales, but anyone in complex sales, we need to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah. I think that's, it's really funny. These things, I mean, it seems to me like some of the generations don't realize that these things actually are phones as well as cameras. And I think the lost art of the phone call, or now it might be a video call in our case, that's what we recommend, but the lost art of actually talking to people, right? It's a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary to me.
Well, we'll see where it goes, but I don't want to be a robot.
No, absolutely. I don't want you to be a robot either.
No.
And there's a lot of bots and there's a lot of AI out there. So I think it's going to become more and more important for people to realize that the person on the other end of the text is actually a real person. The person on the other end of the, right? I think being human to human is key. Well, thank you so very much, Joanne, for being on today's show. I appreciate it. We'll have to, it's in our archive somewhere. We're going to have to find the show that we did back when we were Vengresso Live, when we were talking about referrals, because that also is, it's my favorite way of selling, obviously. So I am just grateful that we had you on then, we have you on now. We'll probably have you on again. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, well, thank you for the conversation. We had an important one.
I think so. And everyone, next week, we have another Women's Sales Pros. I'm just going to promote the ladies. That's all I'm saying. We've got Alice Hyman on our show next week. Make sure to visit us, same time, same place. We will see you there. Again, thank you so much, Joanne. Remember, y'all, if you have any questions, you can pop them into whatever channel you're listening to us on right now. Our social people, Felipe's keeping an eye on that. So he'll respond or he'll get one of us to respond. You can always listen to this again, and you can always hit the share button, share it with your friends. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. And thank you, Joanne. Bye, everyone.
We're not sweating our numbers. We're not struggling to prospect or find customers. We're not even sweating into quarter, because we're growing a foundation of A-level sales talent. We're rethinking successful habits, and we're rethinking our entire digital prospecting strategy. We're going to break records and explode our sales funnel. We're doing things differently, and we're doing things better than before. Because this program showed us how to not only excel at sales, but how to become a prospecting master.